There is a new RPG coming out on September 10th called Greedfall that looks very interesting, especially the combat looks very entertaining, but a lot of people are sleeping on it. I haven't played the game myself, but after doing a lot of research, I am very intrigued and totally want to get my hands on it. In this video I will tell you everything you need to know about this action RPG, so it would be awesome if you could leave a like on the video as it shows your support. And let's go. What immediately caught my eye was the fun looking combat and the great impact that your weapons seem to have on the different enemies. There are also different ways that you can approach a fight. You got heavy two-handed weapons, for example, but also traps that you can throw down to deal damage to the enemies. But especially the magic looks awesome, with the fast way to maneuver and the powerful looking spells that you can use against the, from the looks of it, many enemy types. Like you got your regular looking bears, for example, as we see in the IGN footage that was released during E3. But we will also fight against huge creatures that were already briefly teased in the recent gameplay overview trailer. And these creatures, just like the one that you see right here, are all made from the different environments of the island and made to defend the island from the colonists that want to take it over. It's kind of unclear if the island itself, so the nature, created these beasts or if magic was involved. But we do know that these creatures don't like our presence, because that's the thing in this game. You start with leaving your old continent behind. It has been plagued by this major disease, and it is your goal to search for a cure on this newly discovered island. Before you leave though, you already encounter one of the massive bosses. Like, this is the tutorial of the game that should already set the tone for the creatures that you will find on the island Tier Freddy. So we will be exploring this new island. Good to know though is that the game is not open world. We see the full map right here. But the idea is that you have several big regions that are connected via different dungeons. There are 3 big cities in the game that look pretty massive, and this whole world, while fictional, is fully inspired by the 17th century, so the developer Spiders drew a lot of inspiration from the 17th century paintings, and you see that in the clothing as well, that they actually created with the help of an artist who worked on films set in this time period. If you follow the channel for a while, then you know that I'm a sucker for gear, weapons, just loot in general. And Greedfall seems to have a lot of that, with armor pieces inspired by the 3 different factions. Like, we have the more general soldier outfits, but there also seems to be a native tribe on the island with gear inspired by animals, and I think this is my favorite look so far. I love the red cloak outfit that IGN showed in their gameplay, and just the overall focus on capes is great, something I missed in my recent games. There's also a crafting system that you can access via the workbench in your camp. It seems to go pretty deep as well, with different ways to customize your blade with different handles or the blade itself, increasing the damage in the process. It can also change the grip of your gun that you can use. For your gear you can add different pauldrons, for example, and you need materials for these upgrades. Overall it seems like the game has a regular rarity system with your common, green, blue, purple and even yellow legendary gear. Like we see this scimitar here, for example, with some pretty good damage from the looks of it, stun chance, and it requires the agility attribute to be level 2. Because customizing your character does not stop with the gear. There are also attributes that you can spend points in, like strength, but also agility that increases your damage, but as we just saw is also needed to use certain weapons. And then you have talents that help you out in certain situations. Like here we see the character develop the talent science that lets you make simple potions that you can use in battle, but also destroy weak walls, so you can get inside places that are otherwise unreachable. Or you can spend talent points in lockpicking to open the otherwise locked door. You could also fight the guards that are guarding this location and gain access that way, although that should have consequences according to the trailer. It's always hard to judge though how big of an impact the choices have by just looking at footage, but there should be dialogue choices that you can make that will have an impact on the outcome of the story, and also how much power each faction has on the island. Overall, relationships seem to have a big focus in this game. You got 5 companions that are all from different factions and that can actually help you understand the other people on the island better. But only if you are friendly to your companions. They all should have their own stories with their own quests that are linked to the main story and just teach you more about the world. So spending more time with one character can help you better understand what is going on. In a recent trailer that they released, they teased that if your friendship doesn't go well, that your companions can also betray you, leave you, or even die. But if you do invest time in them, then you could also explore romantic options. And this short romantic tease seems to imply that there will also be same-sex romance if you want. At the beginning of the game, you can choose to be a male or female character with some pretty standard sliders that are for your face, hair, and skin color. And I think that sort of mark there on your chin is likely from the illness in the old continent. So it seems like you got the disease as well that you want to cure. After you created your character, you can select your starting class that seems to focus on the 3 different playstyles I mentioned earlier, with Warrior being your more standard melee class that uses guns as well. Then the technical class, more focused on the traps that can hurt enemies. And then the magic class that I will likely pick because it's all about the spells that you can cast. But it's not that you choose a class at the start and then have to stick with it. Later we see footage of the full skill circle, I guess you can call it, that shows the different paths that you can choose and the fact that you can also mix and match between Warrior and the magic playstyle, for example. Something that I will likely do, as I like to do both. Greedfall, by the way, has a cool Dragon Age style system that we saw in Origins and Inquisition. The fact that you can pause battles for an unlimited time to select a specific skill or use a potion, for example. Normally in the Dragon Age games you would then also take control over your party members. That is not possible in Greedfall. Like, you cannot give commands to your companions, although they will do special abilities and help you in combat, of course. You can, by the way, have 2 with you at the same time and also equip them with different gear. So yes, it looks like a pretty deep game. In the Q&A on their website, they note that a single playthrough can take you between the 40 to 50 hours depending on how you play. That is very decent for an RPG made by a small team compared to other studios working on these types of games. Like on LinkedIn, they now show that 44 employees are working at the studio, and that's not really a lot. So obviously it will be hard to compare this game to the previously mentioned Dragon Age or Assassin's Creed Odyssey that I of course cover here a lot on the channel. Like, these games have way bigger budgets and way more people working on them. So I would suggest, just like any other game, wait for the reviews, especially looking at their previous games. They, for example, made one of the first PS4 and Xbox One RPGs, Bound by Flame. I remember when that came out, people were dying for something to play on their PS4 or Xbox One, so they bought Bound by Flame, but it turned out to be a meh game. It has a 53 on Metacritic, and their most recent game, Technomancer, sits at a 60 right now. I have to say though, this game looks way better than those previous titles, and they of course learned a lot from those games and really took their time. Technomancer released in June of 2016, so more than 3 years ago. So that seems like a good amount of time to make a game like this, and it's also more than the time between, for example, Bound by Flame and Technomancer. That was just 2 years. But yeah, overall it's good to keep in mind that this game is made by a small team, and also that their previous games were not that highly rated. I hope to get an appointment at Gamescom and get hands-on with the game, because I would love to play it, feel it, and then report back with my impressions. I will let you know in the pinned comment under this video if I was able to get an appointment, because right now it's still not clear. But again, I will update the pinned comment if I know more. Either way, it will be a very cool game to keep an eye on, that is for sure. They really talk about exploration as being one of the key pillars of this game, and that really speaks to me. Like, I think the world looks awesome. I want to explore it when I see it. There are a ton of awesome looking enemies and a lot of gear to collect. So I will keep an eye out. I hope that this turns out to be good. When we know more, I will let you know here on the channel, so totally subscribe to stay up to date on more Greedfall. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments down below, and if you want to see more Greedfall videos, also totally hit that like button if you want to see more videos on this game. For now though, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.